What's going on? Good evening, Bills Mafia. Welcome. Happy Monday. Happy Victory Monday. And welcome to Buffalo Late Night. I am your host, Thomas DeLoss. Thank you for tuning in. Z-Bot, as usual, loading me up. Absolutely love it. And if you are here, we're welcome to have you. And if you're listening on Spotify, happy Tuesday. I know it's supposed to rain tomorrow, at least for Z-Bot and I. We're Rochester guys. I don't know what's going on in Nova Scotia. But that being said, you can find all of our free content on social media and streaming platforms, including Spotify and YouTube. And if you're watching on Twitter right now, hop on over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, join the conversation. We want to hear from you. That being said, tonight joining us, we have two gentlemen from Buffalo Fanatics. First, we have the host of the Rico Report, one of the co-creators of Buffalo Fanatics, my guy, Rico. And returning for the third time, we have the host of the Smoke Break, my guy, Z-Bot. Gentlemen, how we doing tonight?
What's up, Tommy boy? This is Z-Bot's third time. He's a freaking... I
was just going to say, I didn't even realize, man. I got the hat trick tonight, man. This is nice. Toss him out on the ice for me, will you?
Well, Thomas,
right.
I appreciate
Tom, to answer your question, man. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
I'm just a little bit excited. You know what I mean? I'm just feeling a little good right now is all. That's it. I'm feeling good.
You know what? I share the same listen, I share your sentiments, man. It's crazy and it feels damn good to be where we're at right now. Thomas, I appreciate you having us on, man. This is actually big time. We're on the late night show.
Yeah, no doubt.
This is late. I love it. Baby. Let's go.
And you're even later than us, man, over in Nova Scotia.
That's right.
I didn't even Now, mind you, and I hate to say this because I feel like I did well
You're
in history and
so-
geography. I did not know where Nova Scotia that you guys were an hour ahead. So
You know
here
what?
we are.
I
I'm
just
I'm
learned
learning
that for the
things every
first
day.
time. So
Not a
there
lot
you
of
go.
people.
Don't
Not a
feel
lot of
bad about that.
people. Not a lot of people know where Nova Scotia is. Number one, and number two, they don't realize there's a time difference. It's super annoying. Game time, 1 p.m. Not for me. It's 2 p.m. It's
Oh,
just weird. It's just weird. That hour just
It
makes
is weird.
all the difference. It's just weird.
yeah,
I don't
that
It
throws things off just a touch.
is. What's going on, fellas?
I think
Well,
you know what's going on.
gentlemen, it is Victory Monday. We got a man, what a game that was yesterday. I don't know about you guys. I know everybody in the chat probably feels the same. I love playing the Chiefs. I love that we have that Patriots Colts matchup where every single year you know you're going to be facing them. But god damn it, I hate facing them because every time it is the most taxing game to have to watch. I feel like I am 15 years older every single time we play the Chiefs.
I'll just jump in here because I gotta say this, and I have no shame saying it. I tweeted it out the second it happened. I started to cry. And you want to know why I cried?
You didn't.
I swear to God, you know damn well I did. You know I did. Why would I lie?
Tell the
Why would
people why.
I cried, and it's because it's the reason that Tommy basically just set up for me. It's not because, and this is what the average Chiefs fan would do. And as Rico knows, there's a Dolphins podcast out there who spent about 20 minutes one time breaking down me essentially crying after we lost to the Chiefs in the divisional. They sat there and dissected it like it was film. I couldn't even bring myself to watch the whole thing. I was just so like, ugh. But anyway, the reason I was brought to tears is because the emotional roller coaster that is Bills Chiefs is so taxing on not only the body, the physical body, but the mental up here. It is so taxing. And we were talking about it a bit off air before we went on here. There's this anxiety, this force field surrounding you that completely washes away, win or lose, the second the clock strikes zero. And for me, as soon as Teron Johnson picks that ball off, it was like the biggest ever that just happened to result in a little bit of teary, watery discharge coming out of my eyes. And it's not because, the Bills got their Super Bowl. No, it's because I'm relieved. This shit is over and we won and we can move on to the bye week.
How nervous were you guys with the minute force? Was there a moment where you guys felt they're going to march and score and we're going to lose this game? And this is just going to be the Billsiest way for us to lose this game? Or did you have the confidence that we're going to get a stop? Where were you guys in that moment?
So before that happened, I had 10 family members over, and the thought to everybody was we got to go down and score. Yep. Purely based on the fact that leaves them, we're up by 4, they have to score. And my thought process was, quite frankly, we kind of held the Chiefs in check. I mean, holding the Chiefs to 20 points is a win in and of itself. You can hold probably, on paper, the best offense in the league besides us to 20 points any day of the week. That's a win in my book. I was nervous because it is Patrick Mahomes and he was having his way with Travis Kelce thus far. But in my mind of minds, I felt like, I don't know. I felt comfortable. I didn't feel like, no worries whatsoever, but I felt comfortable.
I felt the opposite of comfortable. I definitely was nervous. They are the only team. I just got through saying this earlier on my show. They're the only team in the league that forces me to feel that type of emotion we were just discussing beforehand. It's the only team in the league that makes me feel this sort of, the word I keep using is force field. I don't know how else to describe it. It's this weird energy that comes over me, and I don't get it against anybody else. I mean, even when they were down 20-3 against the Ravens, I didn't necessarily think they were going to come back just because they were playing terribly. Yeah. But I didn't feel this overwhelming, like, man, the Ravens are just way better than the Bills. You know what I mean? With the Chiefs, it's that, these two teams are so much better than everybody else in the league. The Bills would be capable of going down and scoring in that situation. You better believe the Chiefs would be too. Hell, they did it to us in 13 seconds a season ago and then followed that up in overtime with a drive right down the field for a touchdown. And if anybody in this league with a minute left and a timeout can go and do it, it is Mahomes. And the fact that they ended it the way that they did, not just stopping him, but picking him off, it was just unbelievable. To me, it truly summarizes what this team, has been able to build and why they built it. They built this team to do exactly what they did yesterday. Von Miller, in particular, being the guy coming off the edge and helping to force that pick. That, to me, was what was so special about it. You end the game the way that you built this team to end the season, doing exactly that and beating the Chiefs, getting the victory, and riding off into the sunset.
Are you see? Yep. I'm looking at this game the way it was supposed to end this way. And like you said, we built this team for the game to end the way it did, with pressure coming from the defensive front. Because, I mean, listen, we tried building this defensive front the last 2 years, and we just weren't able to do it. And we come back the year, like last year, we come back with Mario Addison and Jerry Hughes, two aging defensive ends that just are over the hill.
What a stinker.
We thought we could get away with getting after Pat Mahomes. No, you gotta get under. You gotta get the youth on your side, and as well as you gotta get a playmaker, and that's what we did. And how fitting was it that Von Miller was the one that created that uneasiness for Pat Mahomes, where he had to sidearm that thing, and then it's history from there. But man, oh man, is it nice to have this win? Yes, but we know we're gonna face this team again, and that's what Chiefs fans like to hold over our head. Okay. And I hate it. I think it's lame. Bills fans do it. Ravens fans do it. Patriots fans do it. Zeba, do you know where I'm going with this?
Oh, I know where you're going.
Thomas, do you know where I'm going with this? Right? And we did this week 3. When the Dolphins beat us, what did we say? Congratulations. You won your Super Bowl. Good for you, right? It's early in the season. So, like, what are we gonna? We're gonna just get all the celebrations going, fireworks. It's one win. It's one win. But Bills fans, sometimes we're like, we got you guys. Guys, it's one win. Let's settle down. Chiefs fans are like, all right, you won.
Wait. The only difference, though, with that one, Rico, though, I don't get how Chiefs fans can say that. As much as I don't like that you won your Super Bowl,
right?
The Dolphins really kind of did act like that. It was so childish the way that they pretended like they were the best team in the league for 3 hours. With this game, I don't know how either fan base can say that. How do you walk away from that game and think either team winning that thought they would win the Super Bowl? Those two teams are the Super Bowl. So, I mean, it's just, that's what it comes down to. You can't think like that if you're a Chiefs fan, but of course everybody does. But in my opinion, like you said, Rico, these two teams are going to meet again. And when they do, not only, it's going to be a playoff game to get to the Super Bowl. That game will be the Super Bowl. The trophies going through those two teams, and you saw why yesterday. It just doesn't match up anywhere else in the league. You watch a full slate yesterday before you watch those two teams, and there's nothing else like it in the entire league.
What yesterday was for the NFL to take notice. It's to take notice to say nobody else is even close. Nobody else is even close to these two teams in any sort of way. No one's going to be able to compete. And this is where you sit there and you watch these two teams on a silver platter and say, okay, we got to build to be like them. Because that was the thing for the Bills, is they needed to build their team to compete with the Chiefs. Well, guess what? Now people are building their teams to beat the Bills and the Chiefs, because the Bills are right there. The Bills are going to be right there. They have made their team, like you said, Rico, to withstand week after week for punishment, for injury, everything in between. We have the depth. And I'm transitioning because we have a guy here at Buffalo Late Night. It is our injury specialist, Dr. Kyle Trimble, and he's going to be the one talking about all of our injuries and anything in between. So, Kyle, good evening, my friend. How are we doing tonight?
Good to see everybody. I'm doing very well, guys.
Mr. Trimble, what's happening, man?
Doing pretty good. Always fun to
night, I hope, than in weeks past, which is nice.
Yes, it's certainly been an easier workload lately, which is definitely better for that work-life balance, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I bet.
For sure. Kyle, how are we looking coming out of that matchup yesterday?
A lot better. The only injuries that we saw were stingers to Dane Jackson and Christian Benford. They both were able to return to the game, and the only one I'd be slightly concerned about is Dane Jackson, just because he had that horrific hit in week 2 I'm sure he did have some type of stinger that, that's why they sent him to the hospital in the first place. So to see him have another stinger again, at least I think gives them pause to say what's going on there. But they did clear him to return to the game. I'm sure they'll do some imaging later on just to make sure there isn't anything else going on. But, after we saw what happened with Micah Hyde, I'm sure they want to be, very, very cautious about that. And then the other big injury that we saw in game was Spencer Brown. He suffered a right ankle sprain. He was originally questionable and then downgraded out. He had told Thad Brown out in Rochester that he had a pretty bad sprain. He was in a walking boot without crutches, which is important to note. And he has a perfectly well-timed bye to get that ankle right heading into week 8 against Green Bay.
Perfect. Good,
Yeah.
good.
So
yeah, I'll tell you with the initially, and I said this last week going into the season, Kyle and I were trying to figure out timing for the season, and I was hoping, because I said 5 to 15 minutes every single week is a good amount of time, and I was hoping it'd be more of the 5 minutes, but as of the last couple of weeks, it's been more of the 15 minutes trying to go through the entire just litany of injuries. So it's good. Going on, obviously we're going into the bye week. Do you expect, and I know this has been the one I think all of us have just been waiting on, are we going to see Tre'Davious White, Big Trey Day, come back to play against the Packers in week 7?
Or week 8 there. That's what it's looking like. Josiane Anderson of ESPN NFL, she's somewhere up in there. She had said that they were expecting to get him back up to full practice status and ready for Green Bay. So if he doesn't, I'd be real surprised if he wasn't. I want to see him have a few more practices just because they were always talking about needing to callus him up, being ready for the season. But they're comfortable with what they're going to do. He didn't practice last Friday. I expect him to get a full 3 practices in. They do have the option to hold him out against Green Bay just in case, but just from the way they're talking about it, sounds like Green Bay is going to be ready, getting back on that primetime stage, and that'll be real cool to see, which I don't expect him to play 100% of snaps, though. I expect him to kind of rotate in like we see with what they do with Benford, Elam, Jackson, just kind of rotating those guys in, not to keep them fresh. And then, of course, you don't want to expose Tre'Davious White to a full, gamut of snaps and then have him suffer hamstring or quad or calf injury.
For sure.
Yeah.
Any injuries or anything to note for the Packers?
Haven't dug into that much yet. I know Aaron Rodgers has been dealing with a right thumb injury. I think he got pulled at one point because I think they weren't playing too well against the Jets there. Randall Cobb has some type of injury too. He's more week to week from what I've seen. I know David Bakhtiari is still working back from his ACL tear. He's been out for the better part of almost 2 years now. I think at least almost 2 years. It's been a long time for him. And then their other tackle, I think, Elgin Jenkins. He's still working his way back. He's on the injury report. Sammy Watkins is supposed to return from injured reserve, which could be a good storyline to see there, especially since he's played against the Chiefs, the Ravens, everybody else there. So it'll be definitely interesting. Of course, we have to wait and see what happens in week 7 when whoever they play. And I think they play the Commanders, which might be an easy game for them to kind of get right there. So,
Kyle, I have a question for you, Kyle.
Yeah.
You specialize in obviously player injuries. Spencer Brown, going back to Spencer Brown, I think it was an ankle injury or high ankle injury. Okay.
It looked more low ankle.
How's his ego? Because that game was a rough one for my man Spencer Brown. His ego must be beat up. So can you dive deep and let us know how his ego's doing?
He seemed like he was pretty relaxed after the game. Like yeah, maybe it was good that he exited it because he got beat pretty bad against the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, and I'm thinking, do we want to rush him back in time for Green Bay too? Because you got Rashawn Gary coming off the edge there too. Do you want to get him out there and have him beat up on the ego? Because he's been beat a few times, and with that right ankle sprain, even though the research shows you can come back in about a week or two, you're still having trouble really pushing off that right side a whole lot, especially being a right tackle. It's like he might get pantsed. That might not be good. So
I'll tell you, man, that ego's it's bruised. His ankle's bruised, and so is his ego. I'll
tell
you, this 2 weeks they're going to be helping his ass out. That's for damn sure.
They definitely will. So it's I think it's part of those growing pains with those younger players. He gets thrust into the lineup, does real well. Yeah. He's already had some injuries. We've seen that out of the third round pick guys over the years. They've just been beat up, and The only guy I haven't seen really get hurt yet is Terrell Bernard, but he hasn't had enough playing time to really warrant the injuries. But your Zach Moss, your Spencer Brown, Dawson Knox, all those guys have been picked in the third round. Harrison Phillips, when he was here, have just been beat up constantly after injury after injury. So it just seems this continues this trend of guys just getting beat up and trying to weather the storm with all that.
I got you. I appreciate that. I like that you gave us a diagnosis on that.
He wasn't looking pretty there. So I know the other injury we didn't get on because this is more of an older one is a Jordan Poyer thing, which is crazy after all that came out. Did you guys see all that after the game?
Sure did.
Yeah, that was a wild story.
Yeah, it was crazy. There. So Sean McDermott gave us a nugget about that, believe it or not. So he said back on October 7th, and John Scott had tweeted this out. He goes, John Scott, I'm reading as though he's writing it. Sean McDermott doesn't want to get into the specifics of Jordan Poyer's injury, rather choosing to remain general with referring to it as rib injury is soreness around it. So he said it was a rib injury, which it is, because Jordan Poyer was on the Pat McAfee show today, said that it was a cracked rib. So by definition, it was a rib injury, but they're hiding the fact that it was a rib contusion. And that's how Jordan Poyer had said it. And then there was also reported a pneumothorax, which was basically a puncture into the space that where the lung resides there, which can cause positive pressure to go into the lung, collapsing it, which is not a good thing when you have to breathe every second of every day. So they usually restrict air travel for about 2 weeks after that. And though Poyer was probably right on that borderline, and they didn't want to risk anything. So that's why they had him drive after the game. I mean, it's dedication because other guys have been like, I'm not doing that, but I'm sitting at home. But Poyer wants a new contract. He wants to be out there and play, and he was a big difference maker. So I applaud him for getting in the van, not having to drive, but being driven that entire way. That was a crazy story, though. It's like they gave us a breadcrumb, and you didn't really think anything of it because then you get down to deep conspiracy theory stuff with some of his injury stuff. And then that's what it comes out to be sometimes with that. So
for sure.
Dude's tough.
Well, Kyle,
Dude is tough.
As always, we definitely appreciate all the in-depth analysis, including the ego check tonight. That's a new one. Definitely love it. We will have you back, obviously, in 2 weeks. Potentially might take a week off next week for the bye week. We'll see. Yep. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just call you anyway. We'll talk for 2 hours. All things considered, definitely appreciate you, and we will see you soon.
Sounds good. Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, you too, brother.
Yes, sir.
Now, gentlemen, obviously with injuries and, taking care of your body, I am also going to be a soon-to-be father. And today I had to do a bunch of stuff with my wife, making phone calls, finding a pediatric doctor and whatnot. And that's part of being a father, is making sure that you get the best doctors and dentists for your children. And part of that is finding the best dentist for my kid is Dr. Zach Mills in his practice, a dentist for kids. That's who my wife and I will be choosing to send our son Griffin to. A dentist for kids offers individual dental treatment for kids of all ages by providing relaxed, fun, and encouraging environment. Dr. Zach's goal is to help your child build confidence in their smile and with their overall dental health. Here in Rochester, a dentist for kids is currently accepting new patients, and they participate with most major insurances. So if you visit Dr. Zach, mention Buffalo Late Night for $25 off your choice of a custom whitening kit or an electric toothbrush. Call today to set up an appointment with Dr. Zach and his team, 585-538-7230. And if you go to bflolatennight.com, you can see his logo there. Click on it, and you'll be able to go and see all of his stuff. It's good. He's a really, really good dentist here in Rochester. I highly, highly suggest that. Moving on. In yesterday's game, Stephon Diggs passed Andre Reed on the all-time Bills list for most games with 10-plus catches with 7 games, surpassing 6 from Andre Reed. Now, here's the astonishing part of that, is that Andre Reed played or suited up for 221 games, while Stephon Diggs has presently only donned a Bills jersey for 39, which is asinine in and of itself. Has Stephon Diggs, and I want to ask all of you in the chat as well, which, by the way, go hit that subscribe button while you're here. I appreciate you all. Everybody in the chat, Rico, Zach, has Diggs cemented himself as the greatest Bills receiver?
Rico, you want to go?
Absolutely not. No. Listen, I know that people fall in love with the right now because it's all about what's happening right now. But let's not disrespect my man Stevie Johnson, number one. I'm not saying that that Stephon Diggs is not better than Stevie Johnson, but like, let's not disrespect Stevie Johnson. Let's not disrespect Andre Reed. Let's not disrespect Eric Moulds. And Eric Moulds didn't have Josh Allen. Could you imagine?
Oh.
Could you imagine Eric Moulds and Josh Allen together, for crying out loud? Let me go further. Stevie Johnson, the boy just gets open. What did Josh Allen say to Diggs? Man, just get open, man. When you come to Buffalo, all I need you to do is get open. That's what Stevie Johnson does, and get open. So could you imagine Josh Allen with the receivers that we've had on this team? Now, Stephon Diggs is an elite receiver. Are we cementing him as one of the best? Not yet. You need to do a little bit more than that, because, I mean, don't forget, Eric Moulds, Andre Reed were playing receiver in an era that they still respected the running back position. And I think they're disrespecting the running back position right now. But anyway, that's another topic for another day. But this is a passing league now. So there's a greater advantage for these receivers. And let's not trip either. DBs aren't allowed to do what they used to do back in the day. So it was a lot harder. So comparing these two receivers from two different type of eras, it's very difficult for me to say he's the next guy, because he's not. I'm just going to chill on that. He's got to do more for me to say he's the best to ever don that damn jersey of Buffalo.
If he gets a chip, though.
Yeah, that was my answer. I mean, if you continue on the pace that you're going at,
what the hell's the chip got to do with it?
It's got everything to do with it. Are you kidding me?
I say if he gets a chip, I think that's the end all be all.
You think Eli Manning is getting in the Hall of Fame without 2 chips? These things mean absolutely everything. And if Stephon Diggs, hell, I don't care. If you want to go ahead and retire every damn name on this roster in the Ring of Honor in this new stadium when they win the Super Bowl, by all means do it. I'd love it. I'll take a picture in front of it. I'll kiss it. I'll do whatever I got to do. I could care less what you want to label these guys as long as they go get it done. Now, is Diggs one of the best? Absolutely. He's already on that short list for sure. If he continues on this pace and they win a Super Bowl, yeah, you can start to make the argument. But I think a lot of points Rico made were valid. And at the end of the day, I think when you look at this Bills team in general, you're going to have to be able to decipher the different eras. It's tough to do. I know we try to do that with the NBA now specifically. The argument is always, LeBron wouldn't be able to have done what Jordan did in that defensive era. There's always going to be these arguments. But you're starting to see it already. I mean, hell, last week, Sean McDermott passed winning percentage over the great Marv Levy. I mean, you're going to start seeing these records fall one after another. I mean, because you want to know why they're so easily beaten. I mean, they're so easily beatable. I mean, yeah, the 90s team was terrific, but that's it. I mean, it's not like there's this list of Bills greats that have these locked in records that can't fall. And when you have a team like they currently do, you're going to start to see these just get picked off. And when it's all said and done, the 90s team there is going to be lucky to be holding, a handful of those records left. So there's got to be a way to look at it differently, because not everything's the same. But at the end of the day, yes, I think when we look back on it, Diggs will, of course, be on that short list, and winning a Super Bowl won't help, or it won't hurt as far as arguing that he could be the all-time best.
Now, Diggs has only been with the team 3 years now. This is year 3 for Diggs.
Yes.
And you've had Moulds for multiple years. If we can have Diggs retire, if he can retire with the Bills and he stays with the Bills, he's got every opportunity to do so.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to play the contract out and hang it up there, I think.
And that's the thing, because Eric Moulds was with the Bills for a while, and Andre Reed with the Bills for a while. So they put the time in. Now, we as Bills fans have suffered long suffering of having no actual good tandem, a receiver to quarterback tandem after Jim Kelly. We've just the door's been revolving of quarterbacks coming in, from Todd Collins to JP to freaking Ed, you name them, every bum quarterback that we've had. So there's never been any continuity for the good receivers that we've had. And it's a shame, because we've had some really good running back receivers, like skill set athletes, but we just never had the quarterback to put it together. So the fact that we have a guy like Josh Allen that's able to freaking have this conversation is huge. We haven't had this conversation. When's the last time we had this conversation about the greatest receiver to ever play in the Bills uniform? Steve Johnson was great, but we never talked about that because quarterback was crap. You know what I'm saying? So we got some great ones. That's what I'm saying.
Can you imagine like Josh Allen with like a Roscoe Parrish? Like Josh Allen was some of those guys that just like you said, Lee Evans, Eric
Nelson.
Molds. Oh,
Josh
just
Reed,
that-
a whole bunch of those guys, man.
oh, Stevie Johnson and Josh Allen would have been dirty. I mean, just there's so many options. I mean, I don't know. It's a fun thought to have, and I think Stephon Diggs is on his way. I think it's recency bias for sure, but he's still unbelievable all the same. Now, moving on, we do have a weekly segment here at Buffalo Late Night. Ian, go ahead and hit that.
Damn!
This week's damn recipient goes out to the most sober individual in Lincoln Financial Stadium last night, an unnamed Eagles fan who made the split-second decision to run onto the field with the team during their entrance. For those of you in the Mafia who are unaware, this sort of behavior is not an unusual thing in Philadelphia. While Bills fans are known for their signs, tailgating, and throwing of marital aids onto the field, Eagles fans are an equally rowdy crowd, yet more nefarious bunch. Well known for their love of throwing D-cell batteries at opposing players and committing acts of vandalism after every win, loss, and tie, or Wednesday afternoon. Eagles fans tend to be a bit more destructive to their surrounding environments, plastic tables excluded. So in the breath of fresh air compared to the other hijinks we've seen Eagles fans get up to, we tip our cap to this week's damn award recipient.
There you go.
Congratulations.
What a legend. And you know the Philly fans bailed him out in 5 minutes, too. They loved that. No doubt about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but we haven't
The
had
fact
one
that
of
he was so like in the moment. I didn't even care. Lived right in that and ran with the team. You would, I mean, honestly, I watched it a million times today. I could have watched it, not even known, and I would have thought he was on the team.
That's hilarious. You know what's funny? If that were to happen at a Bills game, two things would happen. A, they would bail him out, and B, whatever. Listen, if Z-Bot ran onto that field, A, they'd bail you out in a matter of minutes. Second, they'd ask you what foundation, what foundation.
I knew. I knew it was coming.
Give up the money for it, right?
The Bell Foundation takes donations regularly, and they can donate right to that.
There it is.
You want to know what? And in a weird way, I actually did this, but not in Buffalo. I did this with my dad at Beaver Stadium in Penn State. So it was the blue-white game, the annual like scrimmage they do before the season starts. And I was probably like 12. It was piss pouring rain, just pouring. And all of the all the windbreakers that everybody owns for the most part are like navy blue for some reason. And of course, Penn State's navy blue. I shit you not, man. Me and my dad, we're in head to toe navy blue ponchos, coats, and whatever. We walk right on the field, right over to the sideline, and we stood there for probably a full quarter. And I'll never forget Matt McGloin, who was the quarterback for the Raiders for a while. He was the current quarterback for Penn State at the time. My dad walks right up to him, smacks him on the ass, and he said, "Give him hell this year, Matt." And Matt, he was just like, "Oh, no, well, thanks, man." Yeah. And we just stood there, and no one said a damn word. So the key, you got to blend in, and you got to have a kid with you. That's the key. And then you should be all right.
Give him hell, Vic.
Love it. Love it. So we do have a little comment here from Cristobal. He says, please talk about potential trades to improve this team. Obviously, this week we've heard of Christian McCaffrey. We've heard of Odell Beckham's been the talk of the town. I know, Z-Bot and I have had plethora of conversations in regards to that. Do you guys have a flavor of the week that you want to see the Bills go after?
I do the Christian McCaffrey trade in a second, whatever they got to do or whatever they want to do. I'm totally fine with it. Look at you see what this team is. And if you don't win the Super Bowl this year, it is a disappointment.
Okay.
I mean, the way you see it right now, and I know Singletary, hey, they were chopping it up yesterday. That was great. I just think the Bills right now are in a situation where if you did add that element, I mean, good God, there just isn't a positional group out there that isn't top tier among the league anywhere. So I would love it. It would be interesting as to what they would demand for him. But you look at Carolina right now, he doesn't want to be there. And by the time that they get back to functionality, he's not going to be good enough to really sustain any further success there, in my opinion. Interesting. I'm interested to see if he gets moved. And if he does, the powers that be who are in the know here, they think very well could be Buffalo. And that's just one trade that I look at and say, hey, if you can, why not? Because the window you're in right now is the one you want to capitalize on, and sure wouldn't hurt to have him on the roster.
That's a tough one. Listen, and I'm gonna agree with hashtag. You know what I'm saying? And hashtag. I don't know if it's Paul Mario. That's there, but dude, he's owed $12 million a year. $12 million a year, and for someone that we don't know if he's going to stay healthy or not. That's number one. That's a big investment for someone that their health is a 50-50. But for trade's sake, obviously talent wise, absolutely. So I'm going to put both of you guys on the spot because I did this last week with somebody, and when you're in that position, it's harder to answer. So I'm going to put you both on the spot, especially my man Zebak, because we have different opinions, and I love it, and we get to go back and forth. But Thomas, I'm going to put you on the spot as well, right? You guys, Carolina freaking Panthers. I'm the Buffalo Bills. I'm Brandon Bean, and I'm calling for CMC. And I'm calling for CMC. And you know that CMC is the face of your team. Once he leaves, there's nobody. Like Baker Mayfield's going to be your guy. Like, knock it off, right? So who do you want on the Bills? Who would have to be what would have to be the compensation that would be worthwhile for you guys to let CMC go? Who do you want? I'm Brandon B. Talk to me. I want Christian McCaffrey. Tell me what you want, and I'll see if I'll let you know if I accept or not. Thomas, I'll start with you.
If I'm them,
yeah,
I'm gonna try to poach somebody off our defense. I mean, like a Boogie Basham. I mean, Boogie Basham. You've got so much depth on the defensive line. I think that's a guy that they could look at. Pair him with a Brian Burns. You've got a really nice defensive line right there. I don't know if they're going to try to take a wide receiver. Not that we really have much of anything to give them. The only other thing, which I don't,
for that response, you would give up CMC and you take Boogie Basham off the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, I'll do that in 2 seconds.
Are you nuts?
No, I'm saying.
What kind of GM?
I'm just saying for a player, they obviously want picks. But I'm saying because unless you're going to give him a high value prospect, you're not going to trade him Gabe Davis. Like Gabe Davis is probably your 1-for-1 if you're going to go 1-for-1 player for player.
That's what you want, right? Wouldn't that make sense?
If that's Carolina, of course would probably want Gabe Davis.
Well, there you
Bills
go.
are going to hang up the phone and say, "See you later."
You the GM as a GM, and you're asking for Boogie Basham. I'll say, yeah, have Boogie Basham. But is that Carolina would boo your ass out of the freaking state of Carolina? I'll tell you,
right? Too late.
I'm telling you, it's tough, man. CMC,
I hate this stuff. I'm so bad at it. I don't know I don't know how these things work. It's amazing. I'd love to be in the room for one of them, really. But they need picks desperately because they're just not doing this, whatever. Yeah, rebuilding through, swapping. And Rico's point is the one that I emphasized last week when this rumor really started to make waves here. The NFL goes so much more beyond the play on the field. You have got to have a guy that gets people in the stands, that sells jerseys, and that represents an organization. They do not have a single guy that even remotely represents that other than Christian McCaffrey. So when you give him up, you are essentially giving up your identity for the next several seasons. They're going to have to build through the draft. The problem is if you're willing to give up that face of the franchise, are you willing to give it up for the Bills draft pick, which is no doubt going to be anywhere from 29 to 32? And I don't know how much benefit that's giving you for your best asset when you have got to be able to build in the draft for the next several years consistently if you want to be a contender. Because right now, Carolina is arguably the worst team in the entire league. So that's what interests me about this trade rumor to Buffalo, because I don't necessarily know what gets it done that benefits Carolina in order to make the trade. That to me is what would interest me if it wound up happening or if it got close and fell through. I'd love to hear what would wind up getting it done.
Well, Pierre says that Thomas is that guy in fantasy. Literally trades anybody for anybody. Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take your kicker and I'll give you CMC.
I don't even know if I want to give up Bass for CMC, to be honest with you. Well, you know how tough it is to find a good kicker in this league?
Yeah, Bass is a weapon, man.
I love Bass.
Well, listen, Hashtag Sports said, what would CMC do to this offense that Devin Singletary, stop it right now, Mario or Paul?
Oh, you don't want to know what it would look like. You wouldn't even be able to handle it.
I'm rolling my eyes at this gentleman. I don't know if he's trying to troll me or he's trying to get me amped up. Listen, CMC comes onto this team. There's a vast difference. You know what I'm saying? Running backs are a dime a dozen. Can we cuss on this thing, or are you a family? This is a family affair. I'm not going to do that.
You're fine.
Not a dime a dozen. They're not a dime a dozen. I know for people that say that. So they say that you can just swap. And what is the difference? There's a huge difference between those two guys. A huge difference.
Look at this. You know what? It's like, you love yourself some pot, right, man? You're a heavy pot smoker. You love it, man. It's great. You absolutely love it. And then you're wondering, and this is about as bad of an analogy as you can get, but it makes sense in my mind, right?
Keep going.
You love yourself a little bud, man. And maybe you love it a little more than a little bit. You love it. And it's good. And it's getting the job done, man. It's crushing it. You got that OG, man. That stuff is the bomb. You're getting it right from the dispensary. It's just grade A. And then you go to a DMB show, a dead show, whatever, and the guy living out of his van in the middle of the woods, he's got a little bit of that family fluff, right? And you're wondering, how could it be any better than the pot? And you pop one of those tabs on your tongue and you realize there's a whole other world to be discovered when you wind up taking it to that next level. Now, for any kids listening to this, do not look up anything that I said. The point is, when you like something, there's always something a bit stronger and a bit better. And I'm telling you right now, you think that a pot high or whatever is, getting high.
Yeah.
And you think this Bills offense is riding high. You're going to be on a tab or two high if you got CMC in the backfield with this team right now. I can't even imagine. And the high it would give me, boys, the natural high that I'd get just having my two eyes watching that on display. Holy crap. I mean, just imagine Josh Allen swinging that ball out to CMC and just letting him go to work. And the other thing too, boys, that you got to remember, it's also not even, it's just the threat of him being there. Just him being in the backfield does so much towards your game plan having to play this team. You already got to go into this week trying to find a way to stop Josh Allen, and the answer that everybody gives you is the correct one. It's good luck. You can't. Now you got to think about stopping one of the best running backs in the league. I mean, even if you don't even hand him the ball, you still have to prepare for whatever he could be capable of doing to you.
That's why they brought, same thing with Von Miller. That's what they do with Von Miller. Exactly. You brought him in for the fact that you have to game plan whether he does anything or not.
Absolutely. And you know what? And if we were to cut and get CMC, you know what? The one thing I know for sure that would definitely happen, I would actually recommend him to go to Rochester. Dentist for kids. A dentist for kids would help him out. Him and his kids would do all that good stuff. Thomas, Thomas, I got you, big guy. CMC would be his kids' teeth would be early.
Well, Thomas has got the plug. Why don't you call CMC and say, look, we got you covered on the dental insurance. Just get the hell up here and let's get this right. But if I'm CMC, man, I mean, listen. That guy, I love him. Like, he's like that type. He's like that guy in the league that I love, just a grinder. You never really hear from him. And I know he's had an injury history and that sucks, but the dude's a grinder and he's a hell of a freaking baller, man. He'd be a perfect fit for Buffalo. When every time I think about potential guys that could come to Buffalo, I always think about how they'd blend into the culture here. That's a guy that would fit in about a half a second. That's another thing that I really like about it.
Christian McCaffrey yesterday with playing with PJ freaking Walker.
That's what I'm saying. The poor guy, man.
Robbie Anderson that quits on his team. Dude had 13 carries for 69 yards and had 89 yards receiver. Are you kidding me? And he wouldn't come on this team and they want to talk about Devin Singletary. Boy, please. Mario, I'm playing with you.
Put some respect. Hey, Singletary, let me say it. I think that rumor, I think that got him a little pissed off last week. I loved him yesterday. I mean, there were some gashes yesterday where I was like, damn. It
was great.
If you could just find a way to do that 3-4 times a game, it changes everything. The problem is there's just no consistency there. I mean, that's the problem. But the thing that I think matters the most here is just the threat of it alone. The threat of it alone. And we've really never seen Christian McCaffrey in a position. I mean, that's the other thing too. Like everyone benefits. Imagine just the spectacle as a football fan of having that in the backfield. And the other thing too, I think the more we talk about this, the more that goes on. The other thing too, the other reason you want to attack him if you're Buffalo is because somebody else can and potentially will. I mean, I want you to think about it like this. Think about it if today the Chiefs went and got him. How you feeling? Not good, right? So
facts.
Yeah. So That's a whole other reason. So there's a lot there, and it really does interest me. It definitely does.
That is facts. Yo, you got listen, I'm with you. Z-Bot.
Dude, I got to tell you, you'd never see me go from really liking someone to really hating someone quicker than I would hate Christian McCaffrey the second he put on that Chiefs uniform. I would despise him.
Same thing with Odell Beckham. We had that conversation. It's like it's worth signing Odell if it means him not being in a Chiefs uniform.
Damn right.
I mean, sign any of these guys. If they're willing to come and they're willing to figure it out with Bean, do it.
Sometimes, you know what? Screw it. Sign them all.
But you know what, though? Thomas, you're not wrong a little bit with that. Sign them all, meaning if I have to play a little chess to bring a guy so I can block him from going somewhere else,
absolutely,
I'll do it. I mean, sometimes you just gotta. That's where the mind gets. That's a Bill Belichick thing to do, right? So sometimes you got to pull the Bill Belichick.
And you want to know what? I think we saw that with Von Miller. I mean, did they overpay for Von Miller? Probably, but who the hell cares? Look how it's panning out right now, and that's what I was talking about earlier. I don't know if we might have. I think we might have just because of the longevity of it. But
we signed Mario Williams, right? Mario Williams in 2012, we signed him on a 6-year, $100 million deal. We now 10 years later signed Von Miller, future Hall of Famer, for $6,120,000.
Hold on.
Yeah, I mean, sure, 6 years is a long time at 33, but remember, how long did Bruce Smith play? And he ran on cocaine and jet fuel. You know, I mean, it's a completely different world back then than it is now, man. I'm just saying.
That needs to be on a t-shirt. The cocaine and jet fuel, and then what was Vaughn saying there? The gasoline and whatever. We need that. 2 different eras of Bills football.
There you go.
You know what, though? Real quick, because this is really concerning me. Look at Alan Dauscher's comment here. I am actually now coming to the realization that the Chiefs do have a bag of picks from Tyreek Hill. And you have to look, if I'm Carolina and I got to go sit at the table, it's Chiefs all day, no debate, as far as getting a deal done that I think benefits me the best.
And you send them Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You send them out there.
It's not bad because he's
freaking wood. I'm telling you.
Stop talking about this. That's
a freaking good point, because you know that would happen. They would do it. Listen, Andy Reid wouldn't give a damn. What's going to make my team a better team? And what does Andy Reid love? He had Brian Westbrook back then that can catch out of the backfield, run the clock. You know what I'm saying? Shady. Then you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. CMC would be the perfect addition to the Chiefs. Let's not, you're right. Let's not talk about it.
If Chiefs got CMC, they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you know what? And now that Andy Reid, the stuff he draw up for him, I am getting so pissed off right now. I don't even want to know. Even want to know. It would suck.
Don't worry, guys.
That is why you gotta do your due diligence here if you're Beanin. I'm sure he is.
Don't worry, guys. We drafted James Cook in the second round. He's gonna be just fine. I
gotta tell you, Rico, by the way, your boy Breece Hall balling, bro.
Listen,
balling.
I don't want to hear anything.
You look good.
Balling, dude.
All of Bills Mafia that was the pick to make. And they were like, no, we're good with James Cook. You haven't seen anything yet. You're right. I haven't.
We're not. What's the plan with James Cook, though, is the better question. Because there isn't one. There isn't one right now.
The other thing is the Jets don't have a plan either. They didn't have anything. I mean, as much as Michael Carter might have been something, he's not Devin Singletary either.
Right. No, I'm saying, like, right now you have James Cook, but there hasn't been really a plan at all as far as what they want to do with him. So I don't know. That whole thing, don't get Rico going on that, because we can be here all day. And it's only going to get worse because, it's just at Breece Hall. Look at him. Can we talk about this for a second, by the way? How about the Jets? I mean, how are you feeling right now? Because I got to tell you, this is blowing my mind. I understand, the Packers blow. I mean, we are going to run up a bag on those bums Sunday night, week 8. I'm telling you, it's going to be hilarious. I can't wait. The way Rodgers has been recently, I can't wait to just watch them roll. But the Jets, man, I mean, I want your boys' opinion, because I haven't really talked to anybody about this yet. What are you taking away from this? Because if the Bills, and this is insanity, but if the Bills just find a way to stumble on 1 or 2 plays yesterday and lose, they're tied with the Jets at the top of the AFC East.
Right.
What are you guys making of all this?
How first off, how long is this dream going to continue? This run of just pure luck? Because I mean, realistically, I don't think Zach Wilson is as good, right? I think they were, you looked at how they started with Joe Flacco. They looked a little bit more consistent. Now, Brees Hall, he was everything. Zach Wilson threw for 125 yards yesterday. I mean, that's not sustainable. You're not going to be able to do what they did yesterday. The Packers are a putrid bunch. So you're expecting that same thing to happen against the Bills. It's not going to. And realistically, Zebon, Rico, do you expect Zach Wilson to be able to get into a gun show with Josh Allen? Do you think Zach Wilson can put 40 points up to compete with Josh Allen? Because I don't.
I will shit in this hat live on camera if that happens. And you heard
they
it
are
right here on
4-2.
Buffalo Late Night.
They're 4-2, and guess what? The Bills were 5-1 with Trent Edwards and missed the playoffs.
Damn right they
were. The Bills were 4-1 with Ryan Fitzpatrick in 2011 and ended
cover
up
of Sports Illustrated. I'll never forget it. Remember Stampede. And I think it was. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Rico. It was great.
I know you're getting excited there, but the Denver Broncos. I don't know if Thomas was going to say the Denver Broncos. They started off 6-0 with Josh McDaniels as a head coach, and they finished 8-8. Yep. Trust me, we know.
We could look at the Arizona Cardinals. They were 11-1.
That contract is my God. They already regret it. And it's not even like it's Kyler's fault. It's just that team's a hot mess, and now they're going to have to pay him all that money with nothing around him. You want to know what blew my mind yesterday? And this just goes to show you, people see a blowout, and the Bills now have 3 insane blowouts. But, people see a blowout, and they're like, oh, well, it's expected. That team sucks. How much better does that 38-3 drubbing over Pittsburgh look after you have a combined duo of Kenny Pickett and Mitch Trubisky out-dueling the GOAT yesterday? This league is wild. So every time you see the Bills get it done, however ugly or dominant or whatever, just know that they're not losing these games. And you have good teams out here, or so you think, that are finding ways to lay an egg like that. I could not for the life of me see the Bills do something like that this season. I just can't. I mean, it was insane yesterday.
Zebo, you're on fire. Keep going, bro.
My mind's blown mainly because there's so many factors that went into this season for the Bills that, said Super Bowl, but they had to live up to it, right? And last year, you felt that vibe, but you had that awful game against the Steelers. You had that horrendous game against the Colts. You have that absolute stinker in the wind against the Patriots. You look at this Bills team this year, and that just doesn't. You let me know where you could possibly see that happening. I mean, unless there's a massive injury or Josh Allen just decides to quite literally have a career bad game, and I'm talking like 4 picks, doesn't even know where he is on the field type game. I just don't see it. And that's what makes this whole thing so much more special, boys, because all these other teams are doing that. Even the Colts, man, or even the Chiefs. The Chiefs lost to Indianapolis. How?
And they should have lost the Raiders.
And the Raiders had them on the ropes. That game would have made a little bit more sense at least. But I'm just saying, you look now, the Bills, as banged up as they've been, the schedule they went through, to be 5-1, coming off the other end of this bye, healthy, with an easier schedule. Dude, guys, I'm telling you, man, I can't even take it anymore.
Are the Bills running the table, Z-Bot? Is that what you're telling us? Are they going to run the table?
No.
I think that's what you're telling
No, I'll tell you what, though, Philly might. Go look at Philly's schedule and tell me where they lose.
Yo, Philly's
it is wild.
It is.
Philly is playing a Pop Warner. It is incredible. Go look at their schedule and let me know where you see the L. But I got to tell you, though, you go look at the Bills' schedule, and I said this 2 weeks ago, so I'm already on record with it. I just don't see more than maybe 1 L. Maybe. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think
the other end of this pie, look at it, boys. I mean, look at it. It's and the crazy thing is, I think in the beginning of the year, you saw the Packers game and you circle it like, oh, that's going to be a showdown, right? You saw the Cincy game and you're like, man, me and Rev coined that as the game of the year. Not looking like it now, man. I mean, look at the other end of this. The game you might be even a little more worried about might be New England or the Jets at this point, which is just wild.
Yep.
Philly's got the
I think
Steelers.
the Vikings is going to be one.
Vikings going to be a good one.
That's the one that's going to be a tough one because I'll tell you right now. Let me just get through this Philly schedule, and then I'll talk about the Viking game because that one is going to be a tough one. And there's storylines in that game that could really blow. But you got Philly faces the Eagles the Steelers, Texans, Commanders, golly, the Colts, then the Packers. That could be a close one. Titans, that could be a close one depending on how the matchups go. Then the Giants. Now, hold on now.
How about Brian Dable? Let's give a round for our boy.
I'm telling you, man. And then the Bears, Cowboys,
that man.
Giants. Listen, man, they got some tough ones at the end, but listen, it looks good for Philly. Philly's looking mighty good. I'll tell you that much. Damn. Could you imagine?
Here's a question for you boys.
Bills Super Bowl? OMG. That'd be nice.
You think, listen, that would be a self-inflicted nuclear bomb on this country.
God.
Like, I mean, there's not a weapon in the world that could implode this infrastructure like the Bills Philly Super Bowl could. I mean, Arizona, God bless them. The SWAT teams they'd have to fly in from every other country in the planet to be able to contain that. And I need it. I need every ounce of it. But my question to you boys, after you watched last night, Philly in primetime, those were the two best games of the day. Philly, Dallas, and then you got the Bills, Chiefs.
Yep.
To me, and I've fallen victim to this. I had Philly in my own personal power rankings as number one coming up into this week. But after I watched Chiefs and Bills on the same field together, and then I watched Philly. Philly looks damn good. I don't put them in that tier yet. They're not on that fear level based on where I'm at right now. Where do you boys view Philly just kind of on that level of you see them on the schedule and how do you feel as if you were to see the Bills or the Chiefs?
I'll tell you this. AJ Brown was a torture chamber for us last year. He was a nightmare to play against. As much as Derrick Henry, we kept Derrick Henry in check, minus a couple holds and some long runs. He wasn't much of anything against us last year, and he really hasn't ever really done that much, minus a couple holds and long runs. AJ Brown, though, is a very different story. Why Titans let him go, I'll never understand. That guy is an absolute menace. He reminds me a lot of Eric Moulds, like just a bruiser of a wide receiver.
Yeah,
like buttery hands, real smooth in and out of cuts. I think that's the toughest thing. I am incredibly surprised with what Jalen Hurts has become. I didn't anticipate it, but let's say
I'm loving it.
It's hard to say with any Alabama quarterback. I feel like Alabama quarterbacks are up and down. I think that team I love Nick Sirianni. I think what he's done for that franchise is fantastic.
I'm rooting for those guys. I think it's great what they're doing.
Yeah. No, I think if there's any team, I think it's that's got to be the only team in the NFC that you can really look at, because I mean, unless Dak comes back and lights the world on fire, thank God for Cooper Rush, there's nobody else. Who else in the NFC?
No, that's what I'm saying. They're going. That's why I'm asking you boys this, because the way I see
Vikings. That's it.
I mean, maybe, but do you trust Kirk Cousins in the playoffs? And I got a big NO on that. I mean, until I'm proven otherwise. I just wonder. The reason I ask you guys this is because that very well likely could wind up being the case by default. The NFC is just atrocious outside of the NFC East, but how good are they really? We have yet to really, find out.
Yep.
But, the Eagles, I just wonder when you look at them on paper, kind of how you do with the Bills and the Chiefs. I know anybody looks at that game on their roster and they say, whatever, fill in the curse word. But with Philly, I don't know. I don't know if I would feel that the way I do about the Chiefs. I just wonder if it's more of a respect needs to be earned type thing. You know what I mean?
Hey, I just want to hold on. I just want to jump in real quick. And this is just a crystal ball. Listen, man, I love me some Giants. I love the Big Blue. I love Brian Dable and Joe Shane and what they did for this franchise. They are the 2017 Buffalo Bills. If the Bills played them tomorrow, we would mollywop the shit out of the New York Giants. They are not even in the same hemisphere as the Buffalo Bills. They are playing on blood, sweat, and tears and love and playing for Brian Dable more than anything else. But no.
Did you see Dable after that game yesterday? I mean, that was awesome. He looked like a little kid who just got what he wanted for Christmas. That was awesome. I'm loving that.
It's unbelievable.
I'm loving that.
It is. It's great. And they deserve it. I mean, that franchise has just been a torture chamber for years. Having to watch, I mean, the decline of Eli Manning, just looking like he didn't give a shit to be there every week. Yeah, no, they're awesome. I'll be honest with you, man, if they keep Saquon and they can get a quarterback, watch out. That Giants team is going to be filthy.
They're starting to see some things out of Jones, man, Daniel Jones. So I would not be surprised if they get the most out of him.
Are they going to pay him though? That's the question.
Well, that could be reworked because they didn't pick up his 5th year, so that could be reworked. I mean, I don't see anybody banging at Daniel Jones's door and saying, "Hey, you want to come play quarterback for it?" Nah, ain't nobody doing that right now. So he's going to take what they want to give him until they can bridge the gap. So
speaking of quarterbacks that fit that category, we'll stick in the AFC East here. Another question I have for you guys. Bailey Zappi. What are we doing with McCorkle Jones out in New England? Do we deal him? I mean, what's going on over there? They're rolling right now.
Listen,
he is McCorkle 2.0, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys know this trivia question. Bailey Zappi played 3 years at Houston Baptist, broke every single record known to man. The guy is a legend and has made Baileys all over the world. Now on Google, like the first search, man, you type Bailey in, Bailey Zappi pops right up because no one knows who the hell he is. Is he good? Yeah, I don't know. Who the hell knows? I think it's just another. If you look at who the Giants are playing right now, I think it's a product of circumstance.
I'll tell you what, the AFC East right now is way better than I thought it would be. That's all I'll say.
Brian Dable has those guys playing. It's as simple as that because the roster, he didn't really flip too many guys. I'm like, yeah, you freaking brought John Feliciano with his ass. Come on now, like that. Listen, he's got these guys playing for him because it's the type of coach he is. You saw the way Bills players talked about Daves. They love Daves, man. Daves is the player's coach. He's that dude. So he brought that mantra over to the Giants and the G-men. You got grown men crying and doing this and saying, I love this team. Fam, you know when the coach has you dialed in, yo, you're playing for him. You got to make grown men crying on the field. And you got Coach McDermott dropping F-bombs? What? Yo, this is a different league. This is a different year for these.
Plus, Saquon is like the Josh Allen of the running back position. I mean, you want to talk about the most freak athlete I've ever seen in my life.
Saquon's a beast.
Oh, I love him. Now, just imagine a similar style of that.
Don't do it.
Buffalo.
You did.
CMC.
You knew it was coming.
I'm telling you.
Listen,
slide that in there.
What are they 4-1, 5-1 now? They ain't gonna give that Saquon Barkley up. He's the bell cow.
Oh, hell no. But that's another situation they got to figure out. He's due for a contract as well.
They'll give him his contract.
They have to. It's the same situation with Carolina. I mean, who's the face of the franchise? You got to pay the guy.
No, there's no different. He's going to be in the position of Derrick Henry. You don't let Derrick Henry got paid at the right time because he was the hottest thing ever, and you don't just let that walk. You got to pay that man. Saquon Barkley is going to end the season as a comeback player, whatever you want to call it.
For sure.
They ain't gonna let that man walk. That'd be crazy if they did. Now, did you guys see the list of free agent running backs for next year?
It's fat.
That list is nice. So we'd be very smart to let Devin Singletary walk and have a look-see at what we want in the pick of the litter, man. There's the big backs and big names on that list. Golly, man, it's gonna be fun.
Yep.
Are you gonna say that to him? Are you gonna say that to him when we sit down with him, Max? Are you gonna say that to him?
I'm gonna say, listen, you know exactly what I'm gonna say. I'm like, dude, you're in the last year of your contract, fam. Did you see the list on that shit? What are you what are you thinking? Is this on the back of your mind? Like, golly, you got Josh Jacobs. What are you thinking? Well, I'm just think. You know what? The PC. It's the facts. You know what? I'd ask it just like that. Other players aren't gonna do that. There's only one place that does that type of stuff.
Oh man, I'm gonna tune in for that episode. I'll tell you that much right now.
Well, we did ask him about Cook, and I got a little uneasy. I can't lie. If Rico said that, man, I'd lose it because he is the most mild-mannered guy.
For sure.
But there's something about him I would not want to piss him off. Like when Rico asked him a cool question. He's asking him like what kind of dog he would be, and what the hell did he say? He said,
King Corso.
Yeah, King Corso. And I was like, yeah, I mean, dude, like he's small and he's super mild mannered and so nice, but like
Super nice.
he just got that vibe on it. Like you can just tell, like, he's got
kill somebody.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a lot of these Bills guys. They're all nice, but God, man, like, and that goes all the way up to Bean and Dorsey and all of them. They all look like, your next door neighbor until the Dolphins be, and then you realize what they're capable of, right? I mean, you saw Dorsey.
Tyler Davidson put up a comment that's really pretty cool. He says Tua's going up against Flores next week. That will be fun.
That'll be dirty.
That'll be a fun
one. Gentlemen. Yep, Tua is playing next week as of this point. That's what they're saying. Yeah. Now, gentlemen, yesterday the Bills obviously traveled to Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs, or what we'd like to call Nick Wright's love affair. Is there a word or a phrase that you would say that gives to describe yesterday's game?
A word that describes yesterday's game?
Yeah. Give me that emotion that describes yesterday's game.
In the words of, this is the only thing I can think of. In the words of Kobe Bryant, this is my favorite, one of my favorite athletes ever. Job not done. That's the only thing that stands to me. Yeah, it was cute that we got the win. But we got the win last year too, and we were rah. We were beating our chest like we didn't do shit. Job not done. The job's done when we freaking raise that damn Lombardi. I don't think there's any other better answer than that. Job not done. Z-Bot's probably gonna beat me right now. Z-Bot, give me a great answer, buddy. Take us home.
No, that's the best way to put it for sure, because that's the truth. I mean, that's ultimately, yesterday, as big of a win as it was, I think we forget we did that last year. We did that exact same thing last year, actually more dominant than we did yesterday. We did last year in Kansas City. So you're 100% right. But one word I would just say huge. And the reason I would say huge is because of the better word is implication, because the implications that is going to have on the end of the year are going to be massive. That's why I looked at that game yesterday as a playoff game. If you go and look at the AFC standings now, the Bills have like a 1.5 lead on everybody, and they have the tiebreaker with the majority of the top of the AFC right now to this point. So you get down to the end of the year here, and we said this a bunch afterwards. And I know, people say excuses, this and that and the other thing, but you can't convince me that playing the AFC Championship game in Buffalo wouldn't make a difference compared to playing it in Arrowhead. You see that environment, and I just know that however small it would be an edge nonetheless. And God, not for nothing, who deserves it more than us to have that type of game in Buffalo? And I think that game yesterday really is going to be a major, major factor when it comes to being able to do that. And so that's why yesterday, like Rico said, and I do view this to some extent, it is kind of like a job not done type situation where, yeah, it's a great win, but we've done it before and there's plenty more to prove until we can, start ragging on Chiefs fans. But I did look at yesterday as a playoff type game, and I'm assuming those players did as well. And in that environment, the Bills got it done. And when you look at the second half of the year here, the Bills are firmly in the driver's seat to get that 1 seed, the bye, and ultimately home field. And I think that really makes a difference when it comes to getting the ultimate goal done this year.
Huge difference. And I think what I'll use another word, calmness. I don't know if you guys realized choosing watching that game, but you didn't really see much panic. Not in the coaches. There was no bickering. It was just calmness, because we've been playing this team the last 3 years. We know how this has gone down. We've lost 2 big ones to them. We've seen everything you guys have gotten. So now we've loaded up on our side. I think we found the formula to take you down. Now it's gonna come down to Andy Reid once again versus Sean McDermott, who sets their team up for success better. And we'll see that later on back in like later in January when football really starts to count, right? So until the next time we play them, man, it's just a sense of calmness in Buffalo. Ain't nobody just saying we've got this. It's like, all right, next one. Who we got? Oh, bye week. All right, we're gonna get healthy. Then it's on to Green Bay. Let's roll.
I'm stoked for the bye week. I can't wait to see Trey White back. I can't wait.
Yep.
I'm so excited for that. Like, it just feels like forever since we've seen him out there, and you almost like the sheer knowledge that the Bills D has been this incredible up until this point without him and without Hyde. And I know we're not getting Hyde back. I'm just saying what they've done without White, and then throughout the year without really a fully healthy defense in general.
Right.
Getting him back, I mean, everything's lining up right now, man. That's all I'll say.
I'll tell you, the depth on this Bills roster, and I've said it a million times, Brandon Beane, the praise that he deserves for what he has built on this Bills roster, it's unbelievable, quite frankly. You see very few teams that can withstand a storm like the Bills have been able to do over the last 4 weeks, being able to deal with the amount of injuries that they've had to deal with and still come out. I mean, the last 4 weeks are 3-1, and half their roster's been in and out of the roster.
Yep.
I mean, they've brought guys up. Jamarcus Ingram, he's gone. He's not even on the team anymore. And they had him playing against the Dolphins. I mean, they back and forth, up and down. But what I'll say, my word is receipts. And that comes from the fact that I think there was a lot of people talking about this game saying the Bills can't win a close one. The Bills can't do this, that Josh Allen in the moment can't do a lot of things. I don't know if you guys caught the Bills tweet to Colin Coward earlier that they had to delete. Because I'm sure Colin Coward's I'm sure his agents went crying to him. But the Bills are doing, and they watch social media, they read that shit. It was a video, and it was a video calling Colin Coward a clown.
Okay.
Yeah, they went hard on him. And man, social media team for the Bills they're priceless. But I'll tell you, they went after it, and they watch and they read what's being said about them. And I think every single week, like you said, Rico, that Devin Singletary has heard those rumors.
Oh yeah.
That he sat there and he heard what was going on, because he came out like a cannon, man. Like he was shot out of a cannon. And you're seeing that every single time. Gabe Davis, he reads about this stuff. What does he do? Comes out, lights the world on fire again. That's what I'm talking about. It's receipts. These Bills players know they want to prove everybody wrong, whether they're the underdog or the favorite. They're going to prove to you that this ain't the 90s Bills anymore. That this is a team that is ready to stack wins, and they're ready to take the championship and bring it back.
No, here we go.
Here's the video right here, actually. Here you go. You got the audio?
No audio.
Oh, and she's gone.
Poor Uncle Colin.
Well, listen, that's Z-Bot's guy, man. Z-Bot, how do you feel about
guy? It's all right. I told you the other day. I said, it's all right. He flip flops a lot, but he loves the Bills. Uh-oh. Sorry about that.
Is that Caroline?
Oh, good.
He's got a better defense. He's got a better pass rush. He has a defensive coach. But Allen
hasn't proven
that he can win these close come-from-behind games like Mahomes, and that's what separates him.
They should have kept that, man.
Josh Allen hasn't.
Why'd they have to delete that? It's
fine. He didn't leave that up there. Leave that up there.
I guarantee you he didn't care. I wonder who said something.
Oh my gosh.
Something was said, but man, it was so good. So good. But that's my point. Receipts, man. The Bills care. The Bills want to prove everybody wrong. They want to be that team. Josh Allen knows it. And I think it's something. But aside from all that, we're going to finish the show off with a prediction, and I want to hear what you guys think. What's your prediction going into the Packers game next, or 2 weeks, excuse me?
Z-Bot, you want takes?
Oh yeah, that's a 14-point plus win easy. I have absolutely not a single worry in the world about that game. They are in turmoil right now.
Z-Bot, you said it was a 14-point game. This game coming up with the Chiefs and the Bills. And you thought it was going to be just we're going to put it on these guys.
I got to tell you, I did think yesterday that the defense for the Bills would be I just thought that the differentiation in defense would have allowed the Bills to score. I thought more on the Chiefs D than they did. And I also thought I think the Bills D held the Chiefs in check right around where I thought they would. I just thought the Bills would have a better time against the Chiefs D.
Yep.
Got to give credit to the Chiefs D. They had not had a very stout pass defense at all going into that game. And I thought they held their own real well compared to what they had done previously. So that did shock me. But with Green Bay, no, there's just nothing there that I think can compete with the Bills for a 60-minute game. I just think right now the discrepancy in every single position, maybe outside of running back, but they're not even utilizing their running game.
Yeah.
I just don't see the comparison. They got absolutely destroyed by the Jets. They went to overtime with Bailey Zappi. They barely beat a Bucs team who just lost to the Steelers, and that Bucs team in that game was down to their, sixth wide receiver. They haven't played a good game all year. And I just think at home, and you got to remember the Bills after the bye week, I mean, that's only their third home game this whole season. And it'll be weeks since they've had one. And it's a Sunday nighter, a rarity in Buffalo. All the stars align. The Bills are going to destroy Green Bay Sunday night in that one.
Well, listen, I'm gonna agree with you. Like, I want to bust your balls, but I just feel I just had a buddy of mine that was visiting for the weekend. He's a big Green Bay guy, and Bakhtiari being in and out of that lineup and just not good. The last 2 years has just been just not the healthiest. They've got a guy number 70. I can't remember his name. It's just the line is just not protecting. AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones, they're not utilizing these guys. They got a slew of young receivers with an aging Randall Cobb. And that's just the offensive side of the ball. The defensive side of the ball is a little better. It's just, I think we just have too much firepower. And I'm going to agree. I think this is going to be a 10 plus victory. They don't have it. They don't have what it takes to stay with us. So big victory.
Agreed.
Yep. I'm there with you. And I'll tell you, the fans are going to be ripe come game time.
Oh, it's going to be
that is a long day of pre-gaming and drinking and partying and table smashing. And it's going to be good. And the other thing about it is Packers have never won in Buffalo. So I think that's going to be something that that streak's going to continue. But I don't know what's going on with Brady or Aaron Rodgers. I think that
age.
They're halfway out the door. They weren't committed this year. You know, Brady was halfway out the door literally with retirement, and now the whole divorce thing. I'm honestly kind of starting to feel bad for him. He could have went out on top.
Yeah,
and he played one too many hands, and it's just unraveling, and it's honestly unfortunate for him. And then Rodgers didn't take it seriously, man. A whole new wave of guys came in. He didn't show up for the offseason. He's pointing fingers. He's going on Rogan and talking about this and that. The whole thing to me with him, it just kind of seemed like as time went on, he felt he was better than the franchise, and it's kind of starting to show.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I don't know what's going on with Rodgers, man. Between his breakups and his drug usage and his just him finding, whatever religion he decides. Probably Scientology, if I had to guess. He's definitely got something going on up there. But I think it's going to be another big time win. I wouldn't be surprised if we drop a 40 on him. That probably would just be a normal day in the park. At this point for the Bills, it seems they just drop 30s and 40s on teams like it's just another day.
Especially at home. I mean, they're averaging over a 15-point victory at home with 30 plus in every home game over the last 10. I mean, they're just destroying at home. So it all kind of fits the puzzle, I think.
Yep.
No, you're right about that.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, I got to appreciate you two fellas coming on tonight. Rico, I know it's late for you over there.
Oh no, we're good, baby. We're good.
I appreciate you two as always. This has been a hell of a time. Tell people specifically where they can find you. I know a lot of these are your people, but tell people where they can find your content, because man, it's good.
Well, I'll start off with saying thank you for letting me to join you guys. I mean, this is Zbot's a freaking. You might as well just put him as a co-host in here, buddy. He's been with you a few times now. So no, I appreciate Thomas. You guys
don't tempt me with a good time.
You guys having me on, man. This was fun. It's always good. I apologize if we because sometimes when me and Zbot get going, man, we could just take over. We just made this smoke break / Rico report almost. But you know what? This is the Buffalo late night, and you never know what's gonna happen on late night. So Thomas, I appreciate you. Anybody tuning in, man, follow me, Rico Report, Buffalo Fanatics, everything Buffalo Fanatics on all social media platforms, and hit me up on Twitter, Rico_BF_. And that's what it is, man.
Love it. Yeah, Thomas, thanks so much as always, man. It's always fun. I love this because I think every time we've done it, it's off of a win. And I go from my show into this show, and I always remember one or two things that I didn't say in mine that I wanted to say. And that's always great to be able to extend it. So I love that. So thanks again for having us on. It's always fun. Yeah. So same spiel as Rico, Twitter at ZACB22, ZachB22. And then over at the Buffalo Fanatics, baby, every platform that you could think of, we're on there. And even Twitch, I guess now, which I've never even been on Twitch, but apparently I do shows on Twitch. There's that.
We always have 1 or 2 viewers on Twitch. It's amazing.
Somebody stumbles upon it, I guess.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I think I've had. I have two people watching on Twitch right now, so I know.
Oh, we're on Twitch. Look at it. Look at it. I'm all over Twitch.
That's right. Everybody loves that face and voice. That being said, I appreciate everybody coming on Buffalo Fanatics. Obviously, you guys are fantastic, and I appreciate you guys all hopping in. If you like the content, go to bflolatenight.com. Check out our stuff there. My wonderful wife made that website. You can follow us on Twitter, BFLO Late Night, and you can follow me at the Thomas DeLoss. All the content's right there. Hit that subscribe button. We have a lot of really good stuff going on right now. We're giving away 26 shirts once we hit 100 subscribers, which should be any time now. And then also over on our Twitter, if you go and find, I believe it's the pinned tweet. It might not be. It's on there somewhere. If you guess the date that OBJ, if he in fact does sign with the Bills, we will be buying, whoever picks the exact date, a Buffalo Bills OBJ jersey. So go ahead and hit that up. But we appreciate everybody here. We appreciate you stopping in and spending some time. We hope that you come back and enjoy the content that we have here. You can go and check out all of our stuff on YouTube and see all the previous shows, like when Z-Bot was on and we did a all-time Buffalo Bills fantasy draft. It was a good one. It was yeah,
that was fun.
It was interesting to say the least. And Z-Bot pissed a few people off that night, but it's okay.
Didn't I take Ryan Lindell 1 overall? Isn't that what I did? Is that what pissed people off?
Something around there.
I can't remember.
It was good.
But again, I appreciate you guys as always. This has been Buffalo Late Night. I am Thomas DeLoss. You can find me at the Thomas DeLoss. And man, as Victory Monday comes and Victory Monday goes, you got to finish it the way we always go. Go Bills.
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.
The Bills make me wanna shout, kick your heels up and shout.